This is 8.1 and we're going to review a little bit here because I want to make sure you guys understand this. Which color is the parent function? It's the blue one. So everything is always compared to this blue parent function right here. Everything. Now, when A is positive, what did we say it does? Okay, it faces up. When A is negative, what happens? Okay, it faces down. Now, when A is a fraction, so when it's between 0 and 1, what is it?
Shrink.
It's a shrink. So it's this red one right here. This is the shrink. When A is greater than 1, it's a stretch. Now, when it's negative, if it's between 0 and -1, again, it's a shrink. If it's less than -1, it's a stretch. Okay, so now let's do these. Okay, graph 2x squared, compare it to the parent function. First, just let's look at this graph. Look at the equation. Okay. You're comparing it to this. Oops, sorry, f of x. So, what changed from this one, the parent function, to this one? What changed? There's a 2 in front of it. The A is 2. So, is it a shrink or a stretch? It is a stretch. So, what you put on your quiz and your test is you write it is a stretch by a factor of 2.
If it's -2, is it still 2 or is it -2?
Good question. If it were, let's say g of x, if it were -2x squared, here's what you would say. You would say it's a reflection over the x-axis. So that would be number 1. Number 2 would be a stretch by a factor of +2, because the negative is what tells it to be the reflection. That's a good question. So now we're going to graph this, because that's all we're doing today, is we're going to talk about comparing the graphs, and then we're going to graph it. So I'm going to pick 0 right now. For these simple ones, that's only a shrink or a stretch. It's not moving to the left, it's not moving to the right, it's not doing anything. It's just a shrink or a stretch. There's only an A. There's no B and there's no C. We're always going to start at 0. So I'm going to plug in 0 for this one. So what is y when x is 0? 0. Okay, 1. What is y when x is 1?
1.
1 times 1 is 1, times 2 is
2.
2. What is y when x is 2?
8.
8. So now let's go the other way. What is y? It's 2. And when it's -2, it's +8. Okay, so now we can graph this. And when we graph it, I'm going to have you write the whole thing, the whole Dr. Divaxi. You're going to write all of it. So I'm at 0, 0. I know that 2 is positive, so it's going to face up. So hopefully my graph will match. 1, 2. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 8. -1, 2. -2, 8. Yay. So now I can graph that. It's not a V, it's kind of curved. Okay, so there's my graph. Now let's do the whole Dr. Divaxi part of it. Okay. Someone give me one. Vertex, very good. What's the vertex? 0, 0. Domain is all real numbers. What else? Range is? Y is? Greater than or equal to, don't forget the equal to, 0. Good. Good. Axis symmetry is?
0.
Nope, it's an equation. So let's write it as an
Oh, yeah.
x equals 0. Okay.
The y-intercept is 0.
Good. Y-intercept is 0. And then the x-intercept is also 0. Okay, decreasing and increasing. So you're always going to do it with the axis of symmetry. So it's going to be, oops, sorry. It's going to be x something with 0. Okay, so let's look at this. Going from left to right, I'm going down. So it's decreasing when x is less than 0. So that means that this graph is increasing when x is greater than 0. For this problem, h of x equals negative 1/3 x squared. So just looking at the problem right now, comparing it to the parent function, what is the first thing, and I want you to approach this going left to right. So going left to right, what's the very first thing that you see? A negative. So that means that it is a reflection. Okay, so that's the first thing. So what's the next thing that's here? So what's this part right here?
It's a shrink.
That is very good. It's a shrink. So it actually, let's get it even better. It's actually a vertical shrink. Vertical shrink, because we'll be doing a horizontal shrink. This is a vertical shrink by a factor of 1/3. Very good. Vertical shrink by a factor of 1/3. Okay, any other changes? No. In the next couple of days, I'm going to add changes. I'm going to add horizontal left and right, vertical up and down, translation. This is just the beginning of it. Okay, so that's our comparison. When it asks you to compare, that's what you write. Now let's graph this. Now remember, what did I tell you to start with? 0. So I'm going to start here in the middle with 0. Okay, when I plug in 0, what's the answer? 0. There's my first point. Okay, so it's a square. I'm going to put in 1. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times negative 1/3 is negative 1/3. So 1 and negative 1/3 is like right there. If that's 1 and if that's 1. So I bet you when I plug in negative 1, I should come out with negative 1/3. Don't forget that. If you came out positive 1/3, look what this graph is going to look like. I'd put it up here, which is going to cause it to be a straight line. These are not linear equations. They are quadratics. They are all parabolas. All right. Now, I want to come out with a whole number here. So what whole number can I put here when I divide it by 3 will come up with another whole number? Let's do it smaller. Don't do 6. Let's do 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. 1/3 of 3 of 9, sorry, 1/3 of 9 is 3, and there's a negative, so this becomes negative 3. So I bet you if I put a negative 3, I also get negative 3. Okay, so I'm going to put in 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. Please make sure that when you draw it, it's a curve, it's a parabola. It's not a V. Okay, now let's do our Dr. Divaxi. So most of you, I'm hoping, can do this all on your own, but there's quite a few of you guys that are watching me, which is totally okay. I'm fine with that too. But if you can do this on your own, then do it on your own. Okay, give me 1 point. A vertex, good. Which is? 0, 0. Okay, next.
All real numbers.
For what?
For domain.
Domain. All real numbers.
Axis of symmetry is 0.
Axis of symmetry is an equation.
X equals.
So I'm going to write it as an equation. It's x equals 0.
And the y-intercept is 0.
Y-intercept is 0.
The x is
X-intercept is 0 also. It does touch. Okay, what's my range?
It's y
Y is?
greater than or equal to 0.
Okay, so let's look. If I'm on the blue line,
So it's less than or equal to.
right, so it's less than, and don't forget that equal sign. I will mark it wrong if you don't put it on there. Less than or equal to 0. Okay, decreasing and increasing. So now I'm here. I know it's going to be x is something with 0, x is something with 0, because that's the axis symmetry. So I'm going left to right. Okay, what's happening with this graph up here? It's increasing, good. So it's increasing when x is less than 0. Okay, so now we go back here, we hit the vertex, and then we're coming here, and it's now decreasing. So it decreases when x is greater than 0. Very good.